Used People is a 1992 film directed by Beeban Kidron, written by Todd Graff, based on the play The Grandma Place by Todd Graff, and we have a cast including Shirley MacLaine, Marcello Mastroianni, Bob Dishy, Kathy Bates, we have Doris Roberts, and it's because of Doris Roberts that I became aware of this. I read the description and thought this could be quite interesting, and having now watched it, I can confirm I found this to be tremendously boring. I think the narrative is very poorly handled, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but the characters are very well written. It's about a woman called Pearl, and at the start of the film, she comes back from her husband's funeral, from her husband Jack's funeral. The family's all around, of course, and an individual called Joe has been romantically interested in Pearl for quite some time, and now that she's widowed, he decides maybe they could have a relationship, which seems callous. It seems like he's jumping in now that she's no longer with Jack, but it doesn't come across as quite as callous as that, but certainly that's the overarching narrative, and the story is just very, very boring. The narrative is very boring. The tone kept shifting. The narrative does not flow well at all. I do not think the story is well handled in the slightest. Maybe when it was off-Broadway as the grandma plays, maybe it worked better, but the narrative in the film is just a little bit messy, not very entertaining, doesn't flow well at all, so the story just isn't very good. The characters are very, very well written and believable. Unfortunately, I feel like as time went on, the characters got less interesting, but in general, I would say they're well written with some good performances. It's meant to be a romantic comedy. There are a few elements of comedy. Obviously, comedy is subjective, but for me, I identified a few moments that were reasonably amusing, but in general, I wouldn't exactly say it's a particularly funny film either. So the only thing it has going for it, well, the technical aspects are fine, the camera works fine, I didn't make any notes about the music, which means that it didn't irritate me, so no issues with the technical aspects. The characters are very well written, the performances are good, but the narrative is not interesting, and I feel like it's quite poorly handled. So it's not a very good film. Maybe the play was better. Maybe it's simply the adaptation does not work. I've got no idea, but certainly I would not be seeing the play. I don't know if it's ever on stage anymore, but based on the film, I wouldn't have very high hopes for it. Used People is an interesting enough idea. The characters and performances are good. The technical aspects are fine. The story is not well handled at all, so I don't recommend it. It could have been a good film. It could have been funnier. Again, comedy being subjective, you might find it funnier than I did, but apart from a few slightly amusing things here and there, and mostly at the beginning when everybody was gathered after the funeral, which doesn't sound funny, but there were a couple of moments. Other than that, I didn't find it to be that entertaining. So, not a great film. I didn't enjoy it. If you're curious, check it out, but if you're not that bothered, I'd say you wouldn't be missing out on much. Maybe it had potential, but I ultimately didn't think Used People was a very good film at all.